Hello, everyone, and it is time once again for your favorite time of the week. That's right, it is time once again for DBR on CBR, that is Dragon Ball Rewatch. And I am hoping all of you are continuing to watch along with us on Hulu and Crunchyroll. And if you're reading along with us, you little scholars, you can read along in the Viz Media translation of Dragon Ball. Once again, we are your lovely hosts. I'm Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John, and we are up to episode 16, Find That Stone. Came out in Japan, June 11th, 1986. Americans got this September 10th, 2001. Adapting 2 chapters again. Let the training begin, and Bad Day at Turtle Rock.
Man, Krillin is so mean to Goku.
Krillin is evil.
He gets his comeuppance, but yeah, this is probably the most bullyish antagonistic that Krillin gets in the history of anything. So yeah, I mean, to the point where him and Goku come to blows, and not like in a friendly sparring match, but they actually throw down. I mean, I suppose officially, would you consider this the official start of training, or is this just another prove you're worthy test from Roshi?
We do a little bit of training. We get he considers this a lesson, so that's something.
Yeah, I'd say this is like the official start. You know, he's seeing where they're at. Like I think that this is what you would call like the assessment phase. He's figuring out where he needs to start as a teacher, or alternatively, he's just looking to get them out of the house for 30 minutes so he can try and grope his new roommate. So
grope his new roommate with split personality disorder. Yeah.
Yeah, there is that.
Roshi's committed to the point of risking his own life.
Really, really quick though, I forgot entirely that Kame House is a capsule house. Completely forgot that it's a capsule house.
At the very start of this, you see them. They load the house into the capsules. Roshi throws out a motorboat, and they go to a new island, which is inhabited. So they just crash. Roshi, libertarian, just crashing in, putting up his house.
Where it's so easy. And it's interesting that I'm trying to think if he ever moves it again, apart from moving it back to the island. I don't think he ever does.
No, I think it stays there for pretty much the rest of the. When it goes back, it stays there, I think, for the entire time. I don't think it moves again.
It is. I do like that this episode establishes that Roshi is stronger, or at the very least faster than Goku. You know, it's not like Goku is the strongest person around. It's like, Roshi can outrun this guy, at least in a burst, if it comes down to it.
Yeah, I like, again, they are kind of establishing, and sort of building what we said last time. Roshi is being established as being a weirdo who actually does know what he's talking about, which makes him a more interesting character, because it does undercut his weirdness a little bit. But he's a nutter, but he definitely knows what he's doing. What I quite like when they do the running bit is that is a joke that has become less effective over time, because at the time this was recorded, Roshi was hilariously fast. But today, the current 100 meters world record is Usain Bolt at 9.8 seconds. So Roshi's only twice as fast now as when he was like 3 or 4 times faster before. Goku was, with 8 seconds, was meant to be really fast when this came out. But now he's only slightly faster than the world record holder.
It's really funny because last episode we were talking a lot about the dynamic that's being established between all of them, and Roshi looking at Goku and being like, okay, there's a lot more that I need to teach you, especially because he asks for a brewski, which is hilarious to me. But Goku's just like, sure, what's that? And Roshi's like, okay, we got a lot more to deal with than just teaching you how to punch good, kiddo.
And I don't know if he ever quite does at this point in the series, because after the tournament, Goku's gone. He doesn't train under Roshi anymore.
Actually, this brings up a question because I don't think it was established in the earlier episodes, and we talked about whether or not Turtle can read. Can Goku read?
At this point, probably not.
I don't think we've ever seen him read anything specifically. He may have commented on a sign, but I don't think we've ever seen him actually display he knows what words are beyond sort of relation to other objects. Yeah.
He recognizes Roshi's handwriting, but it doesn't imply that he can read what's there.
And he's mostly going off Roshi's smell, because he specifically mentions it smells like Roshi. No, Goku may be illiterate, but then maybe it's the Saiyan thing again, where he just sees someone read once and now suddenly he's literate.
I think, because if my lore is correct, I think they train under Roshi for approximately a year in preparation for the tournament. In the Funimation dub, Goku's 11 when he starts, and he's 12 when he competes in that first tournament. So I would assume that, Roshi, Launch, and maybe begrudgingly Krellin teach Goku to read over the course of that year, and that kind of develops a bit more, certainly when he marries Chi-Chi between Dragon Ball and Z.
It,
I
But
mean,
yeah, at this
that's an
point,
arc I want to see now. That's what Daima should do. It should just be Goku being taught literacy over 50 episodes.
because like there's a thing in Japan specifically, there are different levels for reading like katakana and hiragana and kanji, and a lot of people in Japan cannot read all of the kanji,
I
and like Sam can't read all of the kanji. So like you gotta imagine like Goku probably can't read kanji. At most, he's getting to hiragana, right?
But we do see when Roshi's watching aerobics, Ariel from Dr. Slump is on the TV, meaning they do get NHK in Dragon World. So maybe this is testament to NHK's wonderful educational programming that just Goku's able to pick it up from television.
It
That
also
would be
means that apparently the news that NHK visited Penguin Village at some point prior to Penguin Village showing up in Dragon Ball.
It happens. That reference is so weird because you see him watching an aerobics video straight on, but when the shot turns, it's Ariel for literally about 4 frames, then it goes back to another woman. It's a very, and that's in the Japanese one as well. So I'm not sure if he was originally planned to be watching Dr. Slump and they changed it, or I don't know. It's a very odd blink and you miss it moment.
But so for the training parts, Roshi has them run around and then he throws a stone into the woods and says, "Go fetch or you don't get to eat tonight." And that's some very like old Kung Fu Master stuff. I do enjoy that. I also enjoy Krillin's immediate instinct is to cheat.
Let's also hope that he didn't throw it towards the people who live on this island, because if you keep track, the houses we saw Goku look at were that way.
Yes, yeah. I also think there is no worse punishment for Goku than the possibility of withholding food. And I think he would agree.
Yeah.
But based on the joke, it was probably a good thing.
Can we talk about that Launch apparently gets scammed by buying like fugu from a traveling fish salesman?
How does she get the time to go to a fish market? Because we don't see a market on this island. So Launch somehow has time to get up, go to this market, come back, and make this stew, which is a real stew, by the way. It's a fugu chiri. It's actually a thing.
She's a Super Saiyan. We don't need to explain this.
Also, we see more of a community as the saga kind of continues. Like there's a construction site.
We see it, but it's just the fact Launch didn't have time, and we see the house in the shot continuing. So she must have gone out like the back window, snuck around. All this without sneezing.
I just assumed it was a traveling fish man that was like, I have fugu, but only the toxic parts. So enjoy.
Here, eat this poisonous fish.
What I love, well, they did survive it somehow.
I mean, they can survive getting shot point blank with an Uzi. I mean, they don't walk away completely unscathed, as we see, but yeah.
What I love is this whole thing is actually an extended reference to a popular comedic tale that's told a lot in Japan, where basically 2 rich men get a fugu stew, and they go, "How will we tell if it's poisonous? We'll give it to that homeless man, and then if he eats it and doesn't die, we know it's good." So they go back to see him 3 days later. He's alive. They eat it. But when they go, the homeless man goes. Then they see him. The homeless man sees them again a couple of days later, and he goes, they're still alive, so it must be fine. So he's been hiding it the entire time, and they've both been waiting for the other one to eat it. And this is kind of what this joke is.
Sure.
Just in case you're worried, by the way, I did check. The Tokyo Bureau of Social Welfare and Public Health says that as of 2023, there are only 6 deaths per year from fugu poisoning, and all of those are from untrained fishermen
and
eating it in private.
It's also very tightly regulated to the point where when a fugu chef defugus a fish, they have to throw away like the toxic bits and basically in this like sealed container specifically meant to. Yeah,
it's a 3-year teaching progress, and the final exam is you have to do it in front of an inspector and then eat it yourself.
That's so hardcore. I will admit I do want to try fugu. There's a thrill-seeking part of me that desperately wants to try it. I want to know what it tastes like. I don't even care if it's disappointing. I just want to say I did it.
Well, it's less dangerous than you think it is, at least. So
that's true.
And just be like Master Roshi, just tank it. It's only paralyzing you, stopping your lungs working. Just get over it.
He's a
It also
martial
means
arts
that,
master.
well, it also puts off the training for, they keep finding ways to push the training back. Find me a woman. Okay, this woman is all about machine guns. Yep. I'm poisoned. Let's start again tomorrow. Like, we'll get to the actual training, I promise.
Oh.
Roshi
Can
just
we talk?
misplaced his lesson plan.
Roshi's taking that gag from The Simpsons to teach a kid you need to be one lesson ahead of them. Guys, but I want to point out there's one thing in this. So all the stuff with Roshi trying to grope Launch is added in this episode, but they go out of their way to make Roshi into an absolute creep. There is this, when like Launch is cooking and he's like coming around the door frame like Michael Myers. Like that's terrifying.
It also leads to a great joke where the second time he tries it and Krillin comes back in, he's like, "Are you timing this?"
Yeah.
Like, it's
I
so
also love his reaction too, where he just kind of stares at the stone and then immediately, without saying a word, just chucks it right at his head.
there's a lot of good Looney Tunes. Like we were talking about the Looney Tunes stuff before. There's a lot of good Looney Tunes stuff here, especially when Goku goes into Coyote time. Um,
On the bridge, yeah.
like when the bridge goes out and Goku's still in the air, and then he has to make eye contact with the audience before he falls. Don't know how he got back up so fast, but
He's just that good.
He's got his power pole.
that is true.
Does he have his power pole when he's doing the search? I don't actually. Maybe he
We
doesn't.
don't see him. We don't see him use it, but I presume we haven't got rid of it. Well, I guess they didn't change clothing, so he may have put it down during that.
Yeah, we know he has it. We know he has it at least for the next like 100 episodes. Well, 80 episodes. But yeah, we're I don't either that or I could just do a Kamehameha wave to jump up. And that dude's got ups. That dude's got, that dude can get some air. So
he's very good at he's good at this.
Yeah.
He's talented.
That whole situation, that whole sequence with Krillin, like Goku gets the stone, Krillin steals the stone, like that whole thing is so Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, like because Roadrunner Krillin has been a thing now. It's so set up well, and then when they even get into their fight, it's not like it starts out choreographed, and then they have the big dust.
It becomes like a Sims 2 fight where it's just a cloud. Yeah,
it's all comedy beats this episode, and the comedy really lands, especially because Goku's doing this with someone his own age, or like I think Krillin is maybe a year older than Goku, but they're basically the same age.
There's a few really fun lines as well. It's just weird lines. I do really like when Krillin goes to borrow the pen and he knocks on the door and shouts, "Man at the door." And then the woman comes out and goes, "Where's the man?" Unfortunately, this is an early example of Toriyama's slightly unfortunate skin coloring drawing, which is a line of awkward we're going to deal with for quite a while until Z starts, really, before they start fixing that. Yeah, but that whole sequence where the person's like, "I can't see a man" because Krillin's so short is really just so much fun.
Yeah, and they'll continue to poke fun at Krillin's stature really forever.
Yeah.
After these 2 episodes, he deserves it. Let's be fair. He deserves it.
If I recall, I think this is not only the most antagonistic we see Krillin, but I think we start to finally see the nascent seeds of, God forbid, a friendship between Goku and Krillin start to form next week. But yeah, I mean, this is as heated as this rivalry gets.
Oh yeah, considering when they have the fight, Krillin basically says, "If I injure you or kill you during it," which for a child is pretty hardcore.
It is. Like I don't know what it is about Goku, where the first time people meet him, they initially think, "I need to punch this guy in the face." What energy is Goku putting into the universe?
Most punchable child award.
Well, and it continues when he's an adult, right? I mean, Piccolo Jr., Vegeta, Majin Buu, like all these characters
the androids, Frieza.
Yeah, everybody wants to take we'll see later in the series, of course, Tien. I mean, everybody wants to take a crack at the Saiyan, but
talking later in the series, this episode has some interesting accidental foreshadowing stuff going on, which I found quite amusing. Like obviously, Krillin says that Goku must be from another planet when he jumps off a cliff. But I quite like Roshi's whole thing about he specifically keeps saying pushing human boundaries.
Yeah.
You've got to be better than humans, which I think is really interesting if you're reading Super now, where we have True Ultra Instinct being a thing, and Wiz specifically telling Goku that, "Oh, you're breaking through into the world of angels." I think that's a really nice bookend, which obviously no one had any idea at this point that's what we were doing. But it's really cool to see that idea sort of push away this long and then sort of finally get realized. What, yeah, this episode came out in 1986, get realized in 2023.
A lot of the characters, at least in the dub, say like Goku must be an alien or he's not from this world. And I know that the first time it's a dubism, but does it continue to be a dubism, or are some of these things actually like just in the manga?
We start to see the the original Japanese dub finally addresses like, oh, yo, Goku's probably an alien, is during Muscle Tower.
Oh,
Major
so we gotta watch.
Metallitron will have some insight on Goku that us mere mortals don't have.
Pretty much up to then, it's they call him weird quite a lot, but they never sort of nail down what weird is. Just that he's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's coming in about 20 episodes, but there is a reference in both the Japanese and English versions where it's like, oh, this guy's probably extraterrestrial.
I think the other question I have, because I didn't look it up and I should have looked it up, who's voicing Baby Krillin? Is it still Sunny Strait, or is somebody else voicing Baby Krillin?
It is not Sunny Strait, because it is interestingly, it's the same voice actor for Krellin throughout, kind of like Goku in the Japanese dub. It's actually what's her name? Laurie Steele.
That's it.
Steele, who also voices Alvida in One Piece.
Okay. Because her little boy voice is like it's a little Bart Simpson, and I kind of love that.
It is very Bart Simpson at points. There are certainly bits.
And this is the voice of Krellin that we have for the next for a good chunk of the series. I mean, whereas Stephanie Nadolny eventually goes on to voice Gohan when he's a kid. So she kind of keeps it, but then she goes on to voice One Piece, and that basically defines her voice acting career forever. And if you had to, One Piece would be the show to do it with.
I mean, that is like a great career, going from Dragon Ball to One Piece. The two things where you'll always have work.
Oh, well,
yeah. I find it ironic that the Japanese voice actor for Krellin is also a part of the One Piece voice cast.
Yeah.
Specifically Usopp, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Mayumi Tanaka voices Krellin. And as we pointed out a couple weeks ago, we'll also do Yajirobe just to stay employed.
Yeah, just to stay employed will also be Yajirobe, specifically because Akira Toriyama just put it in the manga. Why? Because he liked her. There's the comedy from the last episode carries through so well in this episode, especially because they start on a good joke with Launch about looking like she's about to sneeze, and all of them duck behind a rock. And Roshi's like, you don't be scared. Fear is the mind killer that you must not fear, even though he was also afraid.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say that for my Dune fans out there, but
yeah, he could have.
I love how they have the narration for this episode. They do some really nice bits with the narrator. I really like how he describes Launch in this, where he's like changing from a gentle girl to a vengeful vixen with an itchy trigger finger. It is so Western again. Because that is totally how you would hear like some saloon owner describe a gunslinger. So I like the fact they've carried that through a bit.
Narrator is the best character.
The narrator is displaying more characters. Like in the last episode, he mentioned about, will Goku be able to protect his own skin? He's showing more personality and being used to kind of lampshade a bit more, which I quite like. It's a nice touch.
Yeah. Which grows a bit. I mean, incrementally as the series kind of continues in the Funimation dub. I also like that Krellin kind of calls out the incongruous nature of the wilderness in Dragon Ball, where you can get all kinds of animals that really don't make any sense in the same forest.
Tigers, the dinosaurs.
The people's elbow on the saber-toothed tiger.
Just full on, just like bombing onto it. Also, the dinosaurs that Beerus wiped out apparently, but obviously did a very bad job of it because that's like the fifth we've seen. The joys of long-running shows.
Joys of long-running shows.
Dinosaurs don't have it rough in the Dragon Ball world. I mean, they're eaten. They're eaten like that's what makes them extinct. I'm sure is that they get used to like tail steak.
Just Goku
just ate them all.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff with Goku. I really like the shoes bit. The shoes bit with the running was actually very funny to me. just him being like, "Oh, can I do this again?" And Krillin being like, "No, don't be a sore loser." It's like, no. My shoes are messed up. I can see my toes. And Krillin and Master Roshi both being shocked by this revelation.
Which is something that's in the manga too. That isn't like a we need to extend this runtime a little bit. That's they have that gag in the manga where yeah, you see his like shoes come up and see his toes and
Or
he asks for the redo.
quite like it because not only do they actually animate him doing a stumble because of it, like if you watch when he runs first time, he does stumble, which is a nice little touch. But I think again, we talked about this before, but Goku is sort of the Buddhist hero who sort of never gets what he wants. Comes up again in this episode in that they're reminding you that Goku is this poor child with sort of nothing apart from the clothes on his back, and then in one thing he wants here, he doesn't get again. He doesn't get to eat. Even though that's a good thing, he still doesn't get what he wants. I like that we keep reminding the audience that, hey, Goku isn't like this fated warrior at the moment. He is a small child who is he would be in a much worse situation if he didn't keep lucking into adults who either want to punch him or befriend him.
or shoot him.
Yes. Or in the case of Launch, all of the above.
Yeah. There's part of me that thinks that Goku could house that fugu stew and just walk away with mild indigestion more than being like bedridden for like 24 hours, but
That's Saiyan digestive system keeping him
well,
safe.
I mean, the stuff that dude eats. I mean,
He did eat a centipede. We did see that. That did happen, and they are poisonous.
yeah,
Goku just built different.
Goku built different.
quite literally.
I mean, we do not know how Saiyan biology works. I mean, they could just be because the joke about the fugu fish is that it is immune to its own poison.
Yeah.
Because they don't develop it naturally. They get it from eating bacteria.
I mean, if
And
we're going off of the Star Trek theories of the dissemination of species throughout the universe and the simple fact that Saiyans can breed viable offspring with other species, like this opens like a whole sci-fi can of worms when you really start like burrowing down into it. And Star Trek addressed it, but Dragon Ball has never addressed it. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Don't question it.
Yeah,
don't question it. It starts to get really weird when you
Don't pull the threads. Talking of
yeah.
TV,
I don't know if there's a progenitor situation in Dragon Ball. I mean, it's a whole.
oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of the guidebooks goes into this in great detail. Do they go into everything else?
Well, I mean, the Daisenshu, yeah, certainly when they talk about, or like Toriyama talking about S cells and Saiyans and stuff, and it's like, what are you, like metachlorians? What are you going on about?
I will always admire those books. Toriyama's thing of, I will not leave any plot hole unfilled, regardless of the lengths I have to go to fill the plot hole.
Regardless of the jumping through hoops. But John, you had something.
Talking TV references, I want to throw out. There is a beautiful little bit of a reference from Roshi here, which made me very happy. When Goku's going out to chase the stone, he bluntly tells them to look out for snakes, which is of course a reference to the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode Igar, that famously has a terribly dubbed in warning from off screen, and it's done in the exact same inflection, and that made me very happy because I love that Mystery Science Theater.
I love that. But it seems like it's time for us to give some final thoughts about the true beginning of this training arc as we inch closer and closer to Sam's favorite thing, which is going to be the tournament. I love this episode. I love that the comedy is so quick. It's on point. It almost, if you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I think took their comedy beats a lot from these episodes. So those are my final thoughts. Let's hear from the gentleman in the room.
It's an interesting point for Krellin because it is him at his morally most despicable, and we're going to start to see the redemption of Krellin moving forwards. But it's interesting to see him at this like villainous high school bully archetype point.
Yeah, very 80s bully.
Yeah.
He's a bit Biff from Back to the Future now I think about it.
A little. Doesn't have the muscle to back it up yet, but yeah.
My final thought is I'm really loving these little chunk of episodes and how they're pretty much workable as a feature. You could watch sort of the last 3 episodes together in one go, and they feel like they were written as one big script with just little breaks in between, like scene breaks. So they work really well as a package, which I quite like. And it's definitely, while we've changed out all the characters, we're still getting that very fast-paced flow. There's a lot of nonsense going on in these episodes, but it never feels like nonsense that's not going anywhere. We're definitely getting hints of stuff that is going to happen, and we're building up. Also, one very final thought, we don't have an antagonist yet, which is, again, impressive for an arc, and it's a brave choice to not even hint at where we are going with that antagonist yet.
Yeah.
But so Krillin is kind of one, but they're already kind of signposting that he's certainly not what we're building towards at this moment in time. So I love how they've left that open, but are still able to sort of give a feeling of progression.
That is true. We're lacking an antagonist, but soon, well, not soon, but eventually we will get one. And you'll just have to stay tuned for when that antagonist comes. So, once again, my friends, it is time for that sad part of the week where we end our episode. Once again, it has been DBR on CBR. That is Dragon Ball Rewatch. Once again, I am your host, Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time on Dragon Ball.